seems that Battlefield Hardline is following in the footsteps of a game we all know, and a lot of us love, and that's Bad Company 2. Recently, TRACER, the lead multiplayer designer for Battlefield Hardline, has come out and said that the class balance for Hardline is very similar, if not identical, to Battlefield Bad Company 2. This information was given out at the Tokyo Game Show, or TGS as you might know it, and it really does follow the Bad Company 2 class setup, where the assault players carry round ammunition instead of the med bag, and the med bag goes to support players, very similar to how it worked in Bad Company 2. And I think that that could be a really good switch up. Now, we can look at this from lots of different angles, so let's start at the beginning. Recently, Visceral released information to say that the RPGs are being removed from the engineer class because they don't fit with the police and robbers style battlefield. And I have to agree, I think it was a good decision. And Visceral replaced the RPG with a grenade launcher. RPGs are now battle pickups. This obviously removed the grenade launcher from the assault class, which leaves a fairly small hole in that class. Overall, I don't really think it affects the balance that much for the assault class, but does definitely give the engineers something to work with. If you then work in the fact that the assault class now has ammunition instead of the med bag, and the support class takes that along with the defibs, I think we've got a really nice balance there, and as I've said, it mimics Bad Company 2 very, very closely. If we then look at the classes overall, my style of the assault player is somebody who moves around all the time, who's aware of his surroundings, and is always there trying to fight whoever's in front of him. For that, you need ammunition, and you run out of that quite quickly in Battlefield 4 if you can get a kill streak going, and you have to rely on a support player to come to your aid and give you that ammunition. Moving that ammo pack onto the assault class, I think facilitates the class much better than a med pack and defibs, because the assault player always wants to be moving. I think that's the way that you're supposed to play the class. You may play it differently to me, but hey, I think this is a good idea. You might think it's a horrible idea. And moving the medic kit and the defibs back to the support class, which tends to be a slower role overall, I think fits much better, because then you've got the time to think whether you want to revive somebody, if you want to throw that health down. Overall, if you play the support class, you're going to be playing with heavy weapons, you're going to be weighed down. I don't really think that that's going to be represented in the game, but at least subconsciously you're thinking as a support player, wow, I'm holding this LMG here, it's quite heavy, I might want to take things a little bit slower. And I think with the medic bag and the defibs, you've got time to think about that, and ultimately it just suits the class much better. But really, you need to let me know what you think, because I think this could be a really good idea for Battlefield Hardline. It would change up the gameplay from Battlefield 4, because a lot of people have been saying that Hardline is very similar to Battlefield 4, and I'd have to agree, it is very similar, but in gameplay terms, it feels very different. And I think that these changes would help even further set Hardline apart from Battlefield 4. There is one other thing that's being included in Hardline. It's a recent addition to the game as far as I know. I mean, I've played an early alpha version, and I've played the alpha/beta version that we got to play a little bit earlier on when it came out at E3. And I've played both of those versions of the game, and to my knowledge, this wasn't in either of those versions. The Tracer dart that was last seen in Bad Company 2 will be making a comeback in Battlefield Hardline. For those of you that didn't play Bad Company 2 or don't know what a Tracer dart is, then here's a quick explanation. Basically, this thing takes up your secondary sort of slot of weapon within the class that you're playing, so it will take up like a pistol or something like that. And it allows you to fire these magnetic darts at vehicles or enemy players. Now, in Bad Company 2, if you fired it at a vehicle, it gave the opportunity to a lock-on rocket to basically lock on to a target and do some really heavy damage to that vehicle. You could also fire it at infantry, which just simply lit them up on the minimap. Didn't really do a huge amount else, but if you were marking a target and you had the time to fire a shot at somebody, then you could do that as well. The good thing about the Tracer dart was that you never then had to spend your time re-spotting the vehicle that you'd already spotted. And we know that sometimes in certain servers that vehicles can get a little bit, I don't know, overpowered. If somebody's a really good attack chopper pilot, and I remember this from my days in Bad Company 2, that they can just completely dominate the map, and there's no way for you to take them down except if you get a really well-placed RPG or a stationary AT shot. But if you stick one of these Tracer darts on there, then you have a much better chance of seeing where this thing is all the time, and stationary weapons then actually have a chance to take them out of the sky and maybe end up helping your team. The gadget will be available, or is at least at the moment available, for the mechanic or engineer class within Hardline. So that one we were talking about, where you can't gain access to RPGs anymore, you simply have the grenade launcher. Well, you're going to be able to use the tracker dart. And I think that's really good as well, because it kind of fits the mechanic role. You're going to be trying to take out vehicles all the time, so it makes sense that you can mark them. So, overall, it seems that Visceral are really trying to take some steps in order to differentiate Hardline from Battlefield 4. As I've said, a lot of people had complaints that the game was far too similar, that it could just be a DLC. I mean, I don't agree with that in the first place, but maybe it's just because I'm a Battlefield fanboy that I don't agree with that, but that's really besides the point. What do you guys think about the sort of changes that we've seen to Battlefield Hardline so far? Don't forget, the game is still quite a long way from release. I'd probably say maybe 4 or 5 months from release at the moment, and this is why we're seeing all these changes. They've got the time to make these changes and see how things fit, and ultimately I think they're doing a really good job at the moment. But let me know down below today, guys. Let me know what you think about some of these changes. But anyway, thank you very much for watching today's video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a rating and a comment down below. It is always appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.